Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to discuss a very beautiful poem, The Trees, which is written by Andrienne Rich. This poem has been taken from class 10th English book, First Flight. I will discuss about the poet, then I will give a little background of this poem. After that I will explain this poem line by line, and then I will give the theme and central idea of this poem. And at the end I will provide you the poetic devices which have been used in this poem. So let's get started. So let's discuss about the poet. The poet Andrienne Rich was born in 1929. She was a feminist writer. You have to underline it that she was a feminist writer. Feminist writer means she used to write in favor of women and their rights. Okay, and she was one of the most widely read and influential poets of the second half of the 20th century because she gave voices to the oppressed women and lesbians in her poetry and in her writings. Okay, so now let's come to the background of the poem. This poem was written in 1963 and it was published in 1966 in the book and Necessities of Life. This book was also written by Andrienne Rich. Okay, you have to remember that at that time during the period of 1960s, the second wave of feminism was going on. It means there was a movement by the feminist writers who used to write in favor of women. They were demanding equal rights for women and for other privileges. Okay, so you can relate that this poem will have some elements of feminism because the poetess Andrienne Rich herself was a feminist writer, and the period when this poem was written, that period was the second wave of feminism. So you can relate that this poem will have some elements of feminism. Okay, and this is a symbolic poem. When you will read this poem, at the first glance you will find that this poem is about nature, beauty of nature, deforestation, cutting down of trees, but it has hidden meaning, and that meaning is related with the feminism. Okay, so I think you have got the idea about the background of this poem. You have to think about the scenario of women conditions during 1960s. Then only you will be able to understand this poem properly. Okay, before I start this poem, I want you to think about this question, that can there be a forest without trees? Here forest symbolizes the outer world which is beautiful, and the trees symbolizes women. So you have to think that can there be a beautiful world without women? Okay, now let's start the poem. The first stanza is here. The trees inside are moving out into the forest. See, the first line, notice at the first line that how the poem starts. The poetess Andrienne Rich, she wants that every woman should go out and every woman should do according to their desire. That is why the first line shows, see, the first line itself is the desire of the poetess, that the trees are moving, the trees inside are moving out into the forest. Trees means women and forest means outer side world which is beautiful. Okay, so what the poetess is trying to say from the first line only, that the women who are confined into homes, who are prisoned in home, they are moving out. They are moving out where? To the outer world. They are moving out to the outer world. Okay, this is the outer world. Now just coming to the second line, the forest that was empty all these days. See, obviously if the trees will be cut down and they will be planted in the homes, then the forest will become empty. You can see here in this image that this uh, here the trees has been cut down, so it is quite empty, right? So the poetry is saying that the forest that was empty, forest means the outer world that was empty. Why it was empty? Because all the trees means women, all the trees were confined to the houses. They were imprisoned to the houses. They were captured by the human beings and they were prisoned in the houses. Okay, that is why the forest was empty. And in these three lines, okay, in these three lines, poetry compare the world without trees with the world without women rights. You can see here, she give indirect comparison that how the world will look like if there will be no women rights. Okay, so here, no bird could sit, no insect hide, no sun bury its feet in shadow. See, obviously, if there will be no trees, you can see here, then no bird could sit, no insect hide, and there will be no shadow, no shade. Sun could not provide the shadow. Okay, you can see here in this picture that do you think that it is looking good? This picture is looking good? No, obviously not, because trees have been cut down. In the similar way, the poetess try to present a image that how the world will look like if women will not be given rights. I hope you got the point. Coming to the next line, the forest that was empty all these nights. Again, here nights symbolizes the time period when women did not have much rights. Okay, so poetry says that the forest was empty all these nights. All these nights means at that time the forest was empty. It means women were not given the rights, and it was looking like this. Will be full of trees by morning. See, here the poetess is quite hopeful. Morning here is not the next morning. It symbolizes that one day will come when every woman will have rights to do according to their choices, and they will break down the patriarchal mindset. Okay, so the first stanza ends with the hope that one day the trees will move out. Trees will move out means the women will move out and the forest will be full of trees. It means the outer world will be full of women, and women will be able to do everything which is done by men. Okay, I think we have got the idea of the first stanza. Now this is the second stanza. All nights the roots work. See, here roots symbolizes the group of people who is trying to get out, who is trying to get freedom. Okay, so all nights means again the same thing, that the time period when women did not have rights. So at that time, what the women roots means, women, group of women, what they are trying to do, they are working day and night. Why? To disengage themselves from the cracks, disengage themselves. It means to get freedom. Freedom from what? From cracks here symbolizes the patriarchal mindset. Okay, so what the women want? They want to get freedom. Okay, so for this freedom, what they are doing, they are working day and night. They are working all the nights in the veranda floor. And here veranda floor, why? Because women are not able to go out beyond veranda floors. They are in the veranda floors, and from there only they are struggling very hard. They are working all nights to disengage themselves, to move out from there and go into the outer world, which is beautiful. Go in the outer world by breaking down the mindset of patriarchy. Okay, in the next line, the leaves strain towards the glass. See, here again leaves symbolizes the softness of the woman who is weak, who is fragile. Okay, so the leaf strain means to make pressure on something. Okay, so the leaves strain towards the glass here symbolizes the patriarchal boundaries that is invisible. Okay, so glass is here the invisible patriarchal boundary. So what the girls are trying to do, what the women are trying to do, they are making pressure on they are making pressure on the boundary of patriarchy which is not visible. Okay, small twigs stiff with excursion. See, yeah, twigs here, twigs means branches. Okay, twigs means branches. Stiff means to make hard. See what this line says, that by making pressures on the glass, what happens? Small twigs, it means the weak branches get more harder, they become more stronger. Okay, as with the excursion means a struggle, as much as they struggle they become more stronger. Okay, let me once remind you from the first line only, that the roots, it means the women are working day and night, they are working day and night to disengage themselves to get freedom. Okay, freedom from what? From the patriarchal mindset. And they are in the veranda floor because they are not allowed to go beyond that. And the leaves strain, it means the the fragile women, the soft women who are scared, they are also making some pressure, some force on the glass. The glass means the invisible boundary of patriarchy. And by doing this, what happens? That small branches, it means again branches here means the group of women. The again twigs means the women, the women, they become more stronger, they become more stronger with this struggle. Okay, and in the next line, long cramped walls shuffling under the roof, it means women are here again long cramped walls. This also symbolizes the women. Okay, so women are shuffling means walking under the roof. Why under the roof? Because they are not allowed to go out, but they are under the roof only, they are in the house only, and from the house only they are making this possible, they are making pressure, they are struggling, and they are struggling like newly discharged patients. See, newly discharged patient means they are still unconscious, they are trying to be conscious that what are their rights. Okay, there are some women who knew that what are their rights, but there are still so many women who are uh, unaware of their rights. That is why the term used here, discharged patient, newly discharged patients, it means they have come to the consciousness in a few time before. Okay, so like newly discharged patients means, what is newly discharged patient? The newly discharged patient is one who comes in conscious. Okay, so how they look? They look like half dazed. Half dazed means they are still not awake. They are still not awake fully. Okay, and they are moving to the clinic doors. Clinic doors here symbolizes the doors of the house. Okay, so I think that you have got the idea of the second stanza. In the second stanza, the poetess discuss about the movement, that how the women are doing the movement, how the women are trying to get liberate. This stanza is basically about the liberation of the women for their rights. Okay, and this is the third stanza. In this stanza, the poet is inside the home. Poet is inside the home, and the first line starts that I sit inside, doors open to the veranda, writing long letters. So what poetess is doing? She is inside. It means she is also confined to the house, and she is also not allowed to go out. That is why she is inside. She is sitting inside, and what she is doing? She is writing long letters. Long letters means poems, which we are reading today. Okay, so this is the poem which she is writing when she is inside, when she is not allowed to go out. Okay, in the next line, in which I scarcely mention the departure of the forest from the house. See, in this line the poetess says that she does not mention this, that the trees are moving out into the forest. Why? Because she does not think that this is going to be happen. And here she uses forest instead of trees, because forest here means group of women, not only individual. Here the woman is talking about the community of all the women, and she says that she does not feel like that the all the women are going out, they are getting freedom. No. Okay. Now next line, the night is fresh, the whole moon shines in a sky still open. So here the moon symbolizes the patriarchal rule. Okay, the moon symbolizes the patriarchal rule. It means that the night is fresh. Night means the period when the woman did not have rights. Okay, that night is quite fresh, and the whole moon shines. It means that the rule, who is ruling? The patriarchal mindset people are ruling. In a sky still open, here sky symbolizes freedom. Means till now, or you can say it, the women have not got the freedom. They are still struggling. Okay, and who rules till now? The moon signs. Moon means the patriarchal mindset people, they are signing. Coming to the next line, the smell of leaves and lichen still reaches like a voice into the rooms. See, here leaves means again the trees, the fragile tree means woman, okay, the fragile woman, and lichen means lesbians. See, lichen is not a tree, right? Why she uses lichen word here? Because we do not consider lichen as a tree. In the same way, we do not consider lesbian as women. That is why I told you in the starting only that she used to raise the voice for women and lesbians also. Okay, so what she did in this poem? In this poem, she says that the smell of leaves and lichen still reaches like a voice into the rooms. See, she is sitting into the rooms, and in her rooms she get a voice, and that voice is of the women and lesbians, that they want the freedom. Okay, so I hope you got the idea of the third stanza. So this is the last stanza of this poem. My head is full of whispers. See, whispers symbolizes negativity. Okay, you can say that whispers here symbolizes the negative forces which always confine the women and snatched away their freedom and their rights. Okay, so the poet's head is full of whispers, which tomorrow will be silent. Why tomorrow it will be silent? Because tomorrow means one day will come when the women will get right. At that day, the poetess is talking about that day, that tomorrow will be silent. It means tomorrow there will be no whispers, because women will get their rights. And listen to the next line. See, this is a very interesting line. Listen, the glass is breaking. Poetess says that listen, they talk with us, that listen, the glass is breaking. Glass here is the, it symbolizes, I told you before that it symbolizes the invisible boundary of patriarchy. Okay, so the invisible boundary of patriarchy is breaking down. Why it is breaking down? Because the trees are stumbling forward. Okay, because the trees are stumbling forward. Trees means women, and stumbling means moving with a struggle. Why the glass is breaking? Why the invisible boundary is breaking down? Because women are struggling forward. They are moving forward into the night, moving forward into the night. See, here night you have to night. Here is the irony. In the whole poem, night. We studied night as negative, as the time period when women did not have rights. But here, night means the coming days when women will have the rights. It means you can say that women are setting their own norms, then their own regulations. Okay, and winds rush to meet them. See, winds means here the spirit of the people who wants that women should get right. They are rushing down, they are rushing to meet them. Winds rush to meet them. Winds means spirit of the people who wanted that the women should have rights. They rush because of because they want to meet them. And in the next line, the moon is broken like a mirror. Moon, again, the moon is the ruler of the patriarchal society. The moon is broken like a mirror because the women have won this movement. They have struggled a lot and they have broke down the patriarchal mindset, and its pieces flies now in the crown of the tallest oak tree. See, tallest oak. Oak is symbolism. You can say it symbolizes the woman. Okay, tallest oak. It means you can say that the women have defeated the patriarchy and now ruling the space. Okay, and this is the end of this poem, and this poem ends with the victory of the movement of women for their freedom. I hope you understood this poem. If I talk about themes of this poem deals with different themes. At the first reading, you will find that this poem deals with the beauty of nature, because in this poem it is shown that if there will be no trees, then how the world will look like. Okay, so this poem is about the beauty of nature, and at the same time, this poem also talks about the freedom and equality for all, including women and lesbians. You have seen in this poem that women and lesbians, they are struggling very hard to get their freedom and to get equality in the society. And this poem also talks about ecological balance, because you must have seen that in the first stanza only, it talks about if there will be no tree in the forest, then there will be then no bird could sit, no insect hide. So you can say that this poem also talks about ecological balance. Now coming to the poetic devices, here I have written the first stanza of the poem, and here is the poetic devices. You can see here that no sun bury its feet in shadow. Let me underline it. No sun bury its feet in shadow. What you can see that here it is written sun bury its feet. Do you think the sun has feet? Obviously not. Then how can the sun bury its feet? We have feet. Human beings, living beings have feet. Okay, so sun is non-living, and the poetess has tried to give the living characteristics to the non-living thing. Then we can say that this is an example of personification. So in the first stanza we see that there is a personification, and the second poetic devices that is used is enjambment. See, enjambment is a poetic devices that uh, in which the lines continue without comma or full stop. You can see here that from the second lines to the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth line, you can see that there is no comma at the end of the sentence. So you can say that there is enjambment. Okay. Now anaphora. Anaphora is when the there is a repetition of word, the starting word. Okay, when there is repetition of starting word in two or more consecutive lines. Here you can see that this line also starts with no, and this line also starts with no. So this is similar, so we can say that this is an example of anaphora. I got it. I hope you got it. Okay. And you can also say that there is a poetic device, that is imagery. Imagery means the poetess has tried to give the visual description throughout the stanza. See, she tried to give the visual description, that how the world will look like if there will be no trees in the forest. Okay. Now coming to the next stanza. In the next stanza also there is enjambment. You can see that there is the sentence are being continued to the next without a break throughout the stanza. You can see here that uh, in this line, the all nights the roots work to disengage themselves from the cracks. So there is no, you can say, break between these two sentences. So this is an example of enjambment. Simile has been used here. Yes, simile has been used. You can see that the poetess has used here like newly discharged patient. Like as you know that if there will be like and as, we can say that that is an example of simile. Personification, yes, personification is also used in the second stanza. Why personification? You can say because the poetess says that here, yes, twigs stiff with excursion. Okay, so what the poetess is trying to say, that poets are struggling, but do you think that branches are struggling, but do you think that branches can struggle? No, people can struggle, right? So living characteristics has been given to the non-living thing. That is why this is an example of personification. And again, imagery has been used. It means the poetess has tries to present the image in this stanza. Coming to the third stanza, again there is enjambment. I think I don't need to say this again and again. Alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of the first letter of the words which are closely placed. You can see that long letters. It is written here, right? Long letters. The first letter of first alphabet of both the word is similar, and the sound is also similar. In the same way, forest from, this is also an example of alliteration. Sky still, this is again the example of alliteration. I hope you all are getting this. Leaves and lichens, this is again an example of alliteration, because L and L both are similar and both are closely placed words. Okay, and imagery has been used in this stanza to give the visual effect. Now stanza 4. In the stanza 4 there is simile. You can see here that the poetess has used like in this sentence. So you can see that like a mirror, it is a simile. Enjambment, as I explained earlier, that it is the continuation of sentence. Imagery, as I told you before, that imagery means the poetess has tried to present an image, give visual effect or audio effect. Okay, so I told you about the poet. I gave you the background of this poem. I also discussed the poem line by line. Then I gave you the theme of this poem, and at the end I explained you the poetic devices used in this poem. So I have extensively covered this poem, and I hope that you will have no issue after watching this. And thank you for watching. And thank you for watching. Keep learning.